thought. Not yet, sir. Not yet. 10 people in that room. 5 people in here.
Tom's like, what's going on here?
Can you play that into you just for fun or no? Not at the same time.
Choose. I like it.
Good evening and happy Monday. I'm Victoria Rivadeneira, President of the Northeast Division for Exit Realty Corp International and a New York State licensed real estate broker for the past 25 years. I'm also a proud member of the National Association of Realtors, among other associations. And I'm here tonight, back here again, in the studio of WFAS with my co-host, Scott Forcino. How are you this evening, Scott?
Great. Thank you, Victoria. Yes, we're in the same seats, too.
Yes, we are,
God
except
bless
you're
you.
not sitting.
I'm standing to this time. Like a stand-up desk that they're talking about?
Right. Nervous energy?
No, I'm up.
Always nervous.
Thinking on my feet.
Thinking on your feet. That's good. That's good. So, I open each week wishing everyone a happy Monday. Are your Mondays happy, Scott?
Sure, it's TGIM. Thank God it's Monday.
TGIM. I like that. I like that. You know, Mondays really do get a bad rap. But studies show that Monday is not the worst day of the week. What's the worst day of the week, Scott?
I think Tuesday.
Tuesday is the worst day of the week.
That's when stuff happens.
See, this is why you're standing on your feet.
I know it does. It's when
That is when stuff happens. They say that Monday is when you find out what you missed from the prior week, but Tuesday is the day that you have to get it all done.
That's when things start getting real on Tuesdays for the week.
It gets real on Tuesday. And for realtors, Monday brings the weekend deal, so we typically like Mondays.
Mm-hmm. Starting
Right?
contract, sure.
Do you know that Mondays are known to be the best traffic day?
Best meaning least cars or best meaning
Least cars.
fewest cars? Got it.
Yes, fewest cars. Do you know why?
No, I don't know why. They're at work?
Come on, you're on your feet.
I don't know why.
Why would Mondays be the least traffic day of the week of the year? Listen to me.
I guess because people are at work.
No, because most people will take Monday off to extend the weekend.
Well,
you should know that with your savage tan.
I would tell you, irrespective of the tan, I was a Friday guy when I could take the days. Monday I was back. Thursday night was my Friday night. So I was never a Monday takeoff guy.
Oh,
because the rest of the world isn't. Fridays
Okay.
is kind of
I'll
understood.
buy that.
Okay.
But do you know that 50% of people are late on Mondays as well? 50%.
I
That's
believe
pretty
it.
high, right? Here's another interesting fact. More coffee is sold on Mondays. Makes
Well,
sense.
We want to have Tom in on the coffee aspect. He's a unapologetic coffee drinker.
Ah, all right. Well, we all like our coffee, right? Do you drink coffee, Scott?
A bit.
I
Not
don't
not
think
like
I've ever seen you drink coffee.
not like others, but I do.
Ah, okay. Here's another fact, and as a girly girl, I know an unusual statistic that you probably won't know. It's not sports related.
Okay, go ahead.
People have cleaner hair on Monday.
You
They
mean-
also have cleaner clothes on Monday.
They do laundry?
They do laundry on the weekends, yes.
You know who never does laundry on the weekends? Me.
You. I know. You said you don't even have an iron in your
I
house,
don't have
right?
it.
You don't
This
iron
is
your clothes?
shout out to Heather who's listening. No, we don't iron, and I don't do the laundry, so I don't know that stuff.
Nice.
But the
Life
hair's
must
clean.
be good
but
for
Monday
Scott
the hair is
Forcino,
clean.
huh?
It's clean.
Must be very nice to be you. So here's a negative about Mondays. They say most people don't smile until 11 a.m. In fact, it's 11:16 is the time.
Oh, I believe it. It's a serious uptime from getting to work, look at your papers. We did that today.
Really? So you
Yeah.
don't smile until 11 o'clock?
There's not much to smile about. You got to get ready and get your butt in the seat and start moving.
See, I don't feel that way at all. I wake up smiling every day.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. Look, I'm smiling right
Yeah,
now.
I'm smiling at you.
You're smiling at me. That's right. All right. So, enough of Mondays. This is a real estate show, not a Monday show,
Yep.
right? So let's talk a little bit about the real estate market. Market's improving.
Yeah, the Fed decided to not raise rates, kept it at a all-time low of 0. Obviously, it couldn't be lower than 0, so it's still that low. That, I think, bodes well for mortgage interest rates. And buyers who are qualified and motivated should have a tough time, because I'm hearing in the Westchester world that there are offers on properties almost as soon as they hit the market.
That's what I'm hearing too. Well, sales are definitely up, and that's the reason, you know, that you're seeing all that. But buyer confidence is up too.
So I hear.
Yep.
Yep.
So you hear.
Well, buyers are more enthusiastic, but I don't know that in all cases it's warranted. They just maybe thinking it's as it was. They're excited. People need a home for their tax deduction, and they're out shopping.
Yeah, I think they're out more now than they've ever been. And this actually leads me to open houses. Because they're out there, they're going to more open houses. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree with that. They're
Yeah.
out looking when they can, hands-on, and get the foot in the door and see what's out there.
Right. So they're attending open houses, they're visiting model homes on new construction sites, and open houses have a lot of benefits to homeowners, but there's also a scary part to an open house too, right?
Well, I would think that homeowner, whether they're unrepresented or with the representation of a professional realtor, have people, strangers in your house.
Well, that's the thing. Strangers can just walk in. You know, if you're showing a house and their realtor represented, they usually know the buyer. But if you're doing an open house or a realtor is at a model home, anyone can just walk in. Any stranger.
Right. They haven't been vetted. They haven't been identified. In fact, we don't have any idea whether they're capable of completing the purchase. It's a dangerous thing, and some people may argue that this shouldn't happen at all. And I say, if they're going to go to an open house, why can't they just go with a realtor? Well, why not be escorted and professionally represented? You know, what's the downside?
That's a good point. You know, but right now, as it stands, anyone can just walk into an open house, and when they're in an open house, they can pretty much do anything. They can open cabinets, closets, they can observe every single part of that house in detail. And most homeowners will know to lock up their jewelry, but there's other things that are important that they're not even thinking about.
Such as?
Well, for instance, medicine cabinets. Prescription drugs are usually in medicine cabinets. You know, someone goes in, they open up the medicine cabinet, now they take it. This is a haven for anyone who's an addict, yes?
I would think, and maybe unlock some windows or doors that
Yeah, they can case the house, right?
see where the valuables or the big screen TV are.
Yeah, and then come back later on if they unlock a door that no one's watching.
Sure.
Right? And what about that garage door remote that's hanging on somebody's hook?
Yeah, I have that.
Right? You could just take that, and that's easy access.
And the homeowner doesn't know who did it because there's a bunch of people in there.
Yeah, you would have no idea, right? And chances are they wouldn't even notice it missing. You know, would you notice it missing?
No, because I don't even use it.
You don't even use it. Right? I hope you lock your doors.
But yeah, but the problem is that homeowners are thinking of the bad last market where it was business as usual. There's been, and that Thomas here to give us information of some of the statistics regarding realtors. There's a real need now to address and change how things are done. Consumers have to respect the new rules, so to speak, and the approaches that realtors take, and be prepared for them and adjust their expectations.
Absolutely. You hit a very good point. You know, September is Realtor Safety Month, and we do have a very special guest with us this evening. We have Tom Grimes, who is a retired New York City police detective. He's also president of New York's Finest Speakers, a law enforcement public speaking bureau. And he speaks on internet awareness, drug awareness, and realtor safety. We're really happy to have you here, Tom.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, well, Tom, we have a lot of questions for you.
Perfect.
You know, we want to know what it is that you're speaking about, how this affects realtors, but more importantly, how does it affect the buyers and the sellers?
Well, my starting point with the presentation that I would do is that real estate agents make their living meeting with complete strangers in empty houses. I know from my background in the police department, what I try to do is apply some of the principles, some of the safety principles that we would use in a police department to what a real estate agent might do. And I don't know how that statement makes you guys feel, but that statement terrifies me. The last thing I want to do is be behind locked doors with complete strangers. In a narcotics world, we would try to identify as much information about the people we were meeting with prior to that meeting. And any opportunity a real estate agent has to do just that, to vet somebody before they're ever alone with that person, is what they need to do. With a stranger, what they're trying to do is take the anonymity away from that encounter. Somebody with bad intentions, and there's quite a few horror stories of people with bad intentions that are meeting real estate agents for the wrong reasons. They need to know that somebody else knows that you're meeting with me and where we're going, what time we're starting, and what time we're stopping. It's simple things that can keep people safer.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
Well, I know that's important to consumers because they are now used to being what is unaffectionately known as Pop-Tart agents, where the agents will run wherever and anytime, anywhere a possible buyer wants to see a property. They have the fear of missing out on the commission, so they'll run anywhere, anytime. I know that Tom has some statistics which are really, really, really compelling and should be scary and should really prompt homeowners to understand why the market and the procedures and the showing protocol has changed, and they have to adjust with it. Otherwise, they're just going to be really their rights, their opportunities as buyers will be hurt. It's not the realtors that are going to be hurt, it's the consumers that will be hurt.
Right. I just want to let our listeners know that you can join in on the conversation here today by calling 914-693-5700. Again, that's 914-693-5700. And I believe we already have a caller on the line. So before we go to the statistics that, Tom, that you're hopefully going to share with us, I'd like to hear from Christine. Christine, are you on hold with us? Good evening, Christine. How are you today? Do you have a question or you want to jump into this conversation? Oh, I know you, Christine. How are you?
You can't play it in here, too.
We have Tom here, Christine, and he's nodding as you said that.
A backup agent or an administrator needs to know where you're going and who you're going with. Not to limit what you can do, but just to keep track. If you go missing, time is of the essence. It matters whether people know you're missing 5 minutes after you're gone, or 5 hours, or 5 days, that type of thing.
What do you think about that, Tom?
Good information. That you want to create the perception, even if it's not real. The person you're with wants to believe that they're not anonymous, that somebody else knows we're meeting and where we're meeting. That's
Awesome.
good stuff.
Hold that thought, Christine. We're going to go to break. If you would be so kind to stay on hold with us while we're on break, we'll come back to you as soon as we return. And for anyone else who wants to jump into the conversation, please give us a call at 914-693-5700.
We're back.
No.
We're
Yeah,
still,
we're still on here,
We're still on.
so let's turn that down. Just summarize what she said for the people on here.
Christine?
Because, yeah, Christine was on. There's a dozen people in here and 2 to 38
They
people
can't
in
hear?
here. They can't hear here. So what was she, just quickly, what did Christine say?
Christine was giving us tips on what is taught
She a
in
realtor?
her company.
No,
She
she's a
works with Annie Mac Mortgage,
Okay.
and she travels extensively, and she said that her company is giving them training and some tips, and Tom jumped in and was, either agreeing with it, right?
Absolutely. Anytime you can let somebody else know,
Right.
somebody has a backup, because we can depend on technology, apps to help us out, but those are after the fact. What we want to do is not go missing in the first place, or not become a victim in the first place. So if we're in communication with somebody else, and we can do it through our marketing, and we can do it face to face.
One point I want to make, I'll make it again on the radio, but in a prior conversation with Tom, he identified most of these crimes, even if they're violent, as opportunists.
I think criminals across the board are opportunists, and what we're looking to do is take the opportunity to become a victim away, or limit it. We can never take it away completely, but we want to limit the opportunity to become a victim, and we could do that doing various things that we do routinely. We need to turn and do them safely each
I mean, look
time.
how the airline industry changed after September 11th. You can't say, well, I used to fly like this. I mean, you can't.
It's true.
Sorry. And
That's a good point.
you used to walk into courthouses and laugh, and now you're not doing
And
it.
we'll share some stats that say, why doesn't the real estate industry change the way the airline industry has
Like
changed?
this.
You know?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
45 seconds.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, the book Who Moved My Cheese says that something big in someone's market or their workplace changed, and look how the fax machine changed the world, and look how emails changed the world, and we all have cell phones now, and smartphones.
30 seconds.
No flip phones. So these developments, these opportunities change, and really this is a need, I think. And we got to get to the consumer, letting them know that it's not as though they're going to get their way.
Right.
All right, 10 seconds. Stand by.
Is she still on?
Yeah.
All right.
That number again, 888-533-8138, or visit us on the web at betterqualified.com.
And we're back. And Christine, are you still on the hold with us? Awesome. Well, thank you for holding. I'm going to let Tom take over here and share some stats with you and some information.
Well, I got involved a couple of years ago. I did an internet awareness presentation up in Connecticut for the Northern Fairfield County Association of Realtors. And Rich Emick, the president up there, grabbed me afterwards and he said, you should really put something together for real estate agents. And I'll be honest, I said, why? And he sat me down and schooled me with a couple of statistics that blew me away. I researched it and put a presentation together a couple of years ago, and it's been fairly well received within the real estate community. And I'll start with the most overwhelming fact. There's been 189 realtors who were homicide victims at work since 2008.
Wow.
20 in 2014. The U.S. Department of Labor, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, releases those statistics every year. And there were 20 real estate agents murdered in 2014. 189 in the last 6 years. And what Scott said, could you imagine flight attendants, pilots, or co-pilots? If we lost 189 of them at work, you would have to get to an airport a month before your flight to pass through security. But yet very little has changed in the real estate industry. And I don't know where you stand, 189, maybe it's a small number with the thousands and thousands of real estate agents. But if you're one of those 189, or a coworker or a good friend is one of those 189, you take notice.
No, I agree. I don't think there should be one.
And in this industry, we're very reactive. After something horrible happens, we start to do things differently. What we need to do is learn from what's already taken place. I did a presentation down in Cape May, New Jersey, and it was a horrifying attack in Philadelphia the year before. Nobody in Cape May had even heard of this attack. It was a real estate agent attacked after an open house.
So we're not doing a good enough job in getting the information of what's happening out there.
That would be my belief, yes.
Well,
yes.
Victoria, it's even worse than that because Tom mentioned the airline industry. Those are all employees. The airports all have employees. One big boss says it is the way it is, and that's what happens with the Jersey barriers by the drop-off, or they build walls where there weren't. The problem with real estate is these are all 2 million licensees, 1 million realtors. They're independent contractors. So if Victoria says, I'm not doing that, I'm going to be a pop trying to get out there and beat everybody and get right when they call, it's really hurting the biggest set of cats in the world. Unfortunately, you don't have uniformity. The brokers cannot dictate, as much as the general public may believe that the broker, the boss, can tell them how to do it. These people are 1099 independent contractors, and they do what they want. It's a fact. So
Well, maybe it's because they're just not aware.
It's
So
one
I think
component.
we are raising awareness
We
every
are.
single day since we have heard about some of these homicides.
It's true. It's a very difficult thing to protect people from themselves. I tell people you need to assign a risk-reward ratio to everything you do. And what makes you think it's a good idea? What's the commission on that rental property that makes somebody think it's a good idea to meet a complete stranger in the train station parking lot at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night to show them a townhouse?
That commission is definitely not worth more than your life.
Without a doubt.
Hold that thought. We have another caller on the line. Lisa, are you with us? Hi, Lisa. Do you have a question for us, or would you like to just jump on in on this conversation? Oh, please do. Are you an agent as well? Are you a realtor? Oh, okay.
Can I tell our Periscope users concisely?
Yes, please
Okay,
do.
so the caller says she was a buyer, and she went to a property. I don't remember if she had a realtor or not. She
Yes, with a realtor.
with a realtor, but yet someone who they had no idea would be there was there, and he was maybe a little bit, intent on harm or a bit, not controlled, and they were scared. Is that okay?
And you left. You left the premises. Well, that was smart.
Well, I start right there. You trusted your instincts. Who knows what he was there for, but your instincts were telling you this is not a good situation. And that's step one, is trusting our instincts on every situation that we encounter. You're right and you know it. Maybe you can't articulate it to somebody, but if you get that bad feeling, you need to trust it every time. And that's what it sounds like you guys did in this situation.
I would say don't even go near any house with a barn. I mean, that's what I would, if I saw a barn, I would.
Well,
not-
that would not be a good. That's not good advice, Scott.
For me, I'm down here in this part of the state, so if I see a barn, I think that there's something that is problematic. I wouldn't trust that.
Well, Lisa, thank you very much for sharing your story. But Tom, that goes back to what you were saying before. I mean, if you're in a bad situation, get out.
Get
fast.
out. Get out. Yes. There's
The last thing you want to do is get in that house with a stranger.
That's correct.
behind locked
I
doors.
can apologize later. If I insulted you because my instincts were telling me get out and I get out, I'll call you up later and say I apologize if it turned out to be I was overreacting, but I want to live to see the next day to be able to make that call and apologize to you. I trust my gut every time out.
Well, Victoria, this is consumer facing, so I then say to you, I own the house with the barn, and my broker had an appointment with this agent for the buyer. Why didn't they have a showing? I mean, my house is listed. Someone been on the market 6 months. We haven't any buyers, and then maybe my little brother was a little bit too loud, and she drove away. I mean, it's a matter of perception. So, what do you say to the consumer who may feel, justifiably or not, that their showings are less frequent because there's this all this safety nonsense that I want to get my house sold. And now my listing agent is requiring the buyer's agent to get somebody to the house. I mean, this is too much. I used to just sell the house or any other home. Now what? My listing agent's really not doing a good job. I want to change agents because they're just.
Tom, how would you answer that?
Well, I think there's a lot of different things we can do to market a property without taking a risk to ourselves. The internet has changed the world, and the internet, I think, has changed real estate. How real estate agents market their property and market themselves to a certain extent come into play. Maybe you don't know about it, but they can track how many hits on a particular site and how many people are looking at a particular property, and that way only real buyers make contact with that real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And when we meet them, we vet them. I joke that a buyer won't spend 15 minutes to be pre-qualified, but a realtor is supposed to spend 8 hours on a Saturday afternoon with them.
That's a very good point.
So they need to do their part, and we need to do our part as well.
That's a very, very good point. You said you put together some guidelines, and in those guidelines, are you is sharing with realtors that they should have the buyers come and meet at the office?
100%. The real estate agent is the professional in this transaction. 100% of first encounters with a new client have to take place in the real estate office. It takes the anonymity away. Mm-hmm. We start a client file. We photograph a driver's license. We make copies of it. We start a file. Other people in my agency know who my client is and where we're going and when we're going. And it has to happen 100% of the time. It's a re-education of the real estate industry. It's a re-education of the American public, and it starts with real estate agents educating their clients and the American public, and it starts in your office. Okay. If you made a dental appointment and the dentist said, meet me in the parking lot, you wouldn't go to that dentist's office. You guys are the professionals in this situation. They come to your office, and we start a professional relationship.
I think that's the answer to your question, Scott. Have them come to the office, and then you would eliminate situations where you're pulling up to a house and then there's somebody there.
I agree. That solves the problem amongst professionals. These are all licensees. These are people who pay their dues. These are all people that are working within an office and are, in all cases, unless they are the principal broker, responsible to the principal broker. But at the crux of this issue is how do we bridge the gap between the consumer who may not be reasonable, the consumer who definitely their last go-round did not do it this way, so they don't buy 35 houses a month, they buy 4 in a lifetime. So if this is the experience they can call upon and they think that their realtor might be a little bit overzealous or they're away, I've done it myself. I said, come to the office. Someone said, no, I won't do that. I'll call someone else. They believe that they can always call someone else who's not going to take the approach that Tom, our professional, says. And I think, tragically, if you really ask my opinion, I think they're right. They know that they can make a phone call, and out of how many phone calls, out of 10, will they get to that property without going to the office? Let's be honest. In this county, I
think it's time for the realtor to raise the bar on that so that we're all doing the same thing consistently, and our safety is much more important. We have another caller on the line. We have Bill. Bill, are you still with us? Bill, that's a very good point that you just said, that the consumer is putting themselves at risk as well. And we just had a caller that said she herself was a buyer, went with a realtor, they went to a house, and that there was somebody hiding in the barn. Tom, you want to talk to Bill on this?
I think you're absolutely right, Bill. I think you have some ideas. Share them with us. Agree completely. And truth is, those are the obvious things. The less obvious things are the family calendar, showing that we're going to be in the Bahamas the first week in April, making our house vulnerable to burglary. Things like kids' schedules, things on the refrigerator, bills, any personal information that's findable by somebody, because we have to take a worst case scenario sometimes. We have a parade of people going through an empty house, man. What are they there for? Most of them are there for the right reasons. The ones that are not, listen, shoplifting is big business in this country. And I'll carry it over to visiting an empty house and stealing what I can get my hands on and stealing what I can sell. Everything has to be removed across the board. When you know a house is being shown by a real estate agent anywhere in the United States, that house has to be empty of anything of value, a hide key or the evidence of a hide key. All these things come into play when a house is shown. And it takes a real estate agent to educate that client of how vulnerable they are when people are coming into their home.
One thing I was thinking from the consumer side, the sellers are the ones with the homes, obviously. If they would, this is pure grassroots, if they would require as a condition to gaining the listing, if they would, in writing, direct the proposed listing agent to say that nobody will see this house, and there's proof of it. If my listing agent is Sally Rowe and Jane Doe shows it, Jane Doe has to demonstrate proof, like you would with any other transaction, that this buyer has been at least identified at this time and date, scan it, send it, take a photo of their ID, and as a condition of showing the premises. Tom, if listing agents did not allow showings by agents that did not do as you're describing, we would solve the problem today.
Correct. If everyone that we meet is a qualified buyer who's been vetted, it's a more efficient world. The bottom line, that house is going to sell because those people are there for the right reason.
Mm-hmm. So it's really not 100% of realtors, it's 50% of realtors, because if we focused on consumers who demanded that of their listing agent, that means that when a Pop-Tart shows up, they would be denied entrance. So if all of a sudden it hit half the realtors or all the realtors in their pocketbook, I mean, that unwitting seller would be saving realtors without knowing it.
But is that realistic?
I think it is realistic.
Yes.
Listen,
okay,
the way
so one of your agents calls my office. Let's say, let's say I'm a broker. I am a broker, but I don't run a brokerage. Let's say an agent calls up from your office, and my listing agent in the office says to you, "Well, we want proof of who this is and that they're qualified." Are you going to send that over? Are you going to send all that information? You're representing the buyer.
Under the new rules, yes, absolutely. So I would
glad to hear that.
I would say to the buyer, here's the world we live in. There's been a lot of agents.
How many realtors are going to do that, though?
I think the number of realtors that would do that on their own is questionable. We can gauge, we can estimate 50%.
Let's ask Bill. Bill, are you still on the call with us? Nope, we dropped Bill.
I think, however, if there was a rule and that it's all in the seller's hands, it's in the seller's, they're holding the pen. If this was a pre-printed form on our local board of realtors that no showings by any agent who hasn't done XYZ, as Tom's describing and prescribing.
So you're saying put it right in the contract using the seller as the crutch. This is what the seller is demanding of us, and
no commission will be paid at closing unless this policy. So the seller gains a lot of safety. They don't have weirdos in their house, and the agents both gain safety that the buyer has been vetted, and whether they can even, I mean, we're not even getting to the point of whether they can buy the house. We just want to make sure we know who they are, as Bill said.
Right.
Are they there for that purpose?
Well, Tom, you speak on this all the time to realtors. What's the reaction?
Well, the reaction is it's very difficult to do what we're talking about if individual companies try to do it. It has to be across the board. It has to be this industry. From a safety standpoint, it's not a gender issue. It's an industry issue. This industry is viewed as a soft target. It's people isolated in homes that they're somewhat unfamiliar with. They don't live there. It's opportunity. And what we need to do is eliminate that across the board. I don't know why there's not national regulations on bare minimum of what real estate agents should do with somebody before they're ever alone, before
Let's
they walk
talk
into a house.
about that when we come back from the break. Again, if you're a caller, you'd like to join in on this discussion, give us a call at 914-693-5700.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
So,
We
tell
had
me something about
Yeah,
somebody's
so
mom
on
who's
Periscope, right? There's a viewer there that said they had a friend's mother in '95 that was killed.
Okay, so
and
can
she's
we
a realtor.
communicate with this person?
Well, that was it. We just
They
the mic's
dropped-
on. This mic's hot.
Oh, okay, so we
they
don't
could be
hear
still
them.
on there. I don't know if the same person's
They're
on there,
hearing you.
but
Okay.
they were
I'd
on
like
here.
to
We're
hear
engaging.
more about that and maybe get Tom's opinion on how to avoid that in the future.
ton of people
it's a
have-
terrible, terrible tragedy.
Right.
We tell those stories, those horror stories. Realtors have approached me with horror stories as well that they've shared, and it's a dangerous occupation. Whether we want to admit it or not, it's a dangerous occupation. It can be.
It can be. Sure.
That's the key. It can
And
be.
anytime
needlessly.
you're in front of strangers, you don't know.
Right.
You really don't
We had
know.
a conversation the other night, and I asked someone in the room.
2 minutes.
I said, "Have you uniformly been showing homes? Were you then as comfortable as you are right now in our revamp conversation?" They said no.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "You're 100% comfortable here. You're not. You're less than 100% comfortable there."
On the phone, we have Melanie on the phone.
Okay.
And then Bill also called back.
Okay.
So we're going to go to Melanie first, and then when you're done with Mel, I'll put Bill through.
Wow. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. How much time?
A little over a minute.
Oh, okay. We're good.
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Minute
A little
and
over a
change.
One more minute.
Minute.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go back to talking.
Sorry.
But I mean, I got to tell you, and I've thought of this before. The easiest thing is to put it on the seller, him or herself. And Julian Lawrence, of these big companies.
Don't mention names.
Okay, well, any company, it's the biggest companies in the county. We're a local show. Should do that so that there's no way around it.
So the seller specifies that nobody comes into my home that's not a pre-qualified buyer. That's not a legitimate buyer. Is that what?
Or at least pre-identified. So I'm the seller, you're the
Pre-identified.
listing agent. I
Right.
say, listen, you're not going to get paid, and the person showing the house not going to get
30
paid.
seconds.
And I got 2 lawyers on this that are, unless I have proof at each
But
showing.
we really do have to put them on
If there's
the-
20 showings, I want 20 demonstrations that this has been done. 20 people have gone to the office, given ID, and come
Right.
here, or no one's getting paid.
15.
Watch that change, Tom.
How did we leave off? What was your last statement?
10.
Your last statement before we went to break?
Mm,
You don't hear
5,
anything.
3, 2, 1.
And we're back. And this is a hot subject here. We are video streaming this on Twitter through Periscope and Meerkat, and we have someone who is on Periscope that said that they have a friend whose mom was killed, who was a realtor, and the mom was killed in 1995.
There's at least 189 similar stories, as horrifying as that is. I use an example, a 71-year-old real estate agent named Ann Nelson. She was in this situation on a Saturday afternoon when she realized this is an unqualified buyer. And she made the mistake, and she said to this person, "Why are you here if you don't have any money?" And he beat her to death with a fire poker that was in that living room. And that's what that woman did. She said, "Why are you here?" And her life is lost. There are countless stories of people attacked like that. People posing as buyers to gain access to somebody. Maybe they first met them on the internet. They became somewhat obsessed with the image that they saw, and then they saw this person is going to be all alone from 2 to 4 on
That's-
Saturday afternoon on 15 secluded acres above the lake. Opportunity knocking.
Yeah,
Tom,
yeah.
it's worse than that. Because if you've ever, as a broker, and we know realtors do this, call for sell by owners. If you ever, as a broker, want to be talked to nicely, call a FSBO. They will love you if they think you're a prospective buyer. These are people on Craigslist, these people on Zillow. They will welcome you, open arms.
And if you show up dressed nice in a nice car,
Sure.
they'll open the
they'll
door,
open
right,
the door,
right
so
away.
you need, that's it. You look
You
at,
know,
I mean,
because criminals don't look that part. Everyone thinks
right,
that the
look at
criminal
Tom.
is
Tom
going
looks
to.
great with the power tie. He could get in any house. He could get into the White House probably. So these people get him in. All they care about is selling the house and avoiding the commission. They'll
Right.
do
But
anything.
there's more
They're
to it
easy
than that.
targets.
We have another caller on the line. We have Melanie. Melanie, are you with us? Okay.
Right. You mean a seller that doesn't want to use a broker? You mean a seller?
Right.
Yeah, those are unrepresented sellers.
Exactly what you were just talking about.
Right. So that means 2 strangers, no one having any idea what the other's intent is. At least one isn't safe in their home, and one is a person who represents a savings. So that commission is worth that seller's life, I guess. As far as a strong sales pitch or bodily harm? Hmm. Yeah, Tom.
From the outside looking in, I think it has to start with an interview process. I don't know you and you don't know me. Let's sit down in a controlled environment and see if we meet each other's needs. Maybe we do, but maybe we do not.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all been in sales situations. Was that individual threatened and bodily, or was there any harm, or just was it really great annoyance? Three sellable. Listen, that can happen, but that is outside the purview of our conversation. We're talking about the 2 million licensees in the country, how they can remain safe, and what the general public should. I understand. There are duties. Realtors have duties to the public, and if those duties are breached, well, they probably have their contact information. If they're part of a company, they can easily learn the broker. There are rights, and like anything else, like our intro says, maybe seek the advice of counsel. Okay. Hope you haven't been threatened in any way, though.
Well, thank you for your call, Melanie. We have Bill on the line. Bill? Oh, our Bill.
Great.
That comes back to educating the public. And it's an old saying, if it appears too good to be true, it probably is. And that kind of scam, we have to apply that. Those kind of scams have a bunch of things in common. The inability to meet with somebody face-to-face and show the property. Even if they make an agreement to meet on a Saturday afternoon, that person at the other end is not showing up. They're going to call with an excuse as to why they couldn't be there and make an excuse why the lockbox isn't in place, but look at the property anyway, walk around it. It's the inability to meet with somebody face-to-face prior to a transaction that they're banking on. It often includes somebody being out of the country. They need a kind soul to look after this property. They have a story that goes with it that seems believable. So if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And if they can't meet, if nobody can meet with you face-to-face, this is not a right deal.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Scott?
Yeah, there are scams. I mean, Craigslist is rife with scams, and I've heard Craig himself speak about it. They've said they're going to try to clean up. But look, at this point, Craigslist's been around for 15 years, at least, since maybe longer, the late 90s. If people are of any kind of sophisticated nature, and that's not to knock them, the internet is a place to be wary of in a lot of instances. As Tom says, if it is too good to be true, but it's not too much to ask if you're a consumer to actually meet the broker and actually view the premises.
So Craigslist is really just a marketing. It's a place to market.
Like a newspaper.
Yeah, like a newspaper.
Right.
But you should still bring those buyers face to face in an office, get them pre-qualified, and know exactly who you're dealing with. It's really not a Craigslist issue.
These are, in no uncertain terms that this is the case. And I don't know if you know, Tom, there's maybe you've heard of this Safe Harbor initiative, where based on the location of an office, let's use Westchester, if someone has a client and they're in Pelham, they're not going to get up to Pound Ridge. They're just not. So if there's the real estate offices up in Pound Ridge would give Safe Harbor to the Pelham broker's client, meet with them, because it's much more logistically appropriate, meet with them, do their work, get their ID, sit down, and maybe escort them, maybe offer a referral commission. But if anything else, if someone lives in Somers, they want to check out Pound Ridge, they're not going to travel to Pelham and then back and tour the county. So there are offices that are now open for everyone's use. It's a reciprocal arrangement where agents say, use my office because I'm here. Or let's say Mamaroneck and Irvington, opposites at East and West. There are offices that are cooperating with each other and assisting them get people into offices. That's an initiative which I really believe in strongly.
I think it's a beautiful program if it works as advertised. When there's a mistake, when I assumed you vetted this person and you referred them to me and you assumed I'm going to vet them when I finally meet them, we don't want that to happen. The vetting still has to take place and it has to be verified. Who checked this person out? Who learned as much about this person as possible before my agent was ever alone with them? And in that situation, did it happen in Pelham? Did it happen in Pound Ridge? It has to happen and it has to be verified.
Victoria, let me tell you this. I'm very, very optimistic on the chances of this type of reform and help. I am. I'll tell you why.
I'm glad to hear that.
No, I really am. Because I was, in fact, before I put on these headphones, I wasn't, but I thought of it while I'm standing here. Standing here. And here's two reasons. The first thing I said before was that these are independent contractors. However, thanks, Tim, take you out there. However, despite the fact they're independent contractors, if they're realtors, they live all by the same code of ethics, number one. And number two, in each and every MLS, they agree to what? Cooperate. So if they're going to cooperate, they're going to follow the rules of the board, and they're going to compensate each other pursuant to the agreement, and they're realtors with a whole bunch of ethics, 17 different rules, why would it be hard to just put an initiative such as Safe Harbor together? And why wouldn't it be hard to? Why wouldn't you expect cooperation? Once a seller says it, it's not going to be met with any opposition. It could flip really overnight.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, and I think that realtors are very friendly, social beings, and we all do, for the most part, get along with each other. And I don't think that we would ever have a problem coming into your office if we were from another company, or if anyone from your office wanted to go and use the office of somebody else's. I don't think that would be a problem at all. And I do believe that with education and these guidelines, Tom, that you've put in place, that we can certainly raise the bar.
Perfect. Yes.
It should be that way. It should be from the grassroots, the people, to the professionals, really, really, not just guiding, but strongly urging those people to get right. Because, the book, Who Moved My Cheese? The cheese has definitely been moved.
Right. And it begins with the realtor, but it also has to follow through to the seller and to the consumer, just as we were talking
It's
about.
It's a re-education. It truly
understand.
is across the board. The American public needs to understand a little bit more about what the real estate agent does, and the real estate agent has to educate that client, and it has to be the same education that they're getting from various companies. The answer has to be the same. This is the way we do it as an industry across the board.
Absolutely. We started this radio show today talking about open houses. And I know that you were just speaking recently on open houses. Can you share some tips that we should be aware of?
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, real estate can be a solitary profession, but it doesn't have to be. There's a certain strength in numbers. Two people are much more formidable than one person. if you can have another person, a mortgage broker, a somebody else that's in the business of meeting people that are buying houses, it's always a good idea to have that second person. Even if it's just somebody that loves you and cares about you, have a second person when you're meeting with complete strangers. I don't know whether the open house is still a viable commodity. With the internet, people can see everything they need to see.
Right. They can take that virtual tour
Virtual
right
tour,
through the entire
and
house
if
without
this
even
is an
going
appealing
there.
property, they can contact their agent and be taken to the location. I don't know whether it's ingrained in the American public that I'm selling my house and I want an open house every other Saturday, or it's agents saying we've always done it this way, so why should we change?
Right.
I have
And
100
sometimes the realtor is also looking for buyers to
with-
bring to
without
other
a doubt, it's a
properties
way
as
to
well.
meet people,
Mhm.
and that to me is a realtor that is not marketing himself or herself property. And it starts at some level with the I versus we mentality in how we market ourselves.
Right.
I will be all alone from 2 to 4 on Saturday afternoon on 15 secluded acres, as opposed to we let our team show you this property. It's just a perception that we're creating through our marketing, but the person reading that ad or looking at that marketing says, this is ABC Realty, a team bringing me this property, versus that person who I've seen on Facebook or I've seen on Twitter or on Realtor.com, and I want to be alone with that person.
I have another question for you in regards to open houses. You mentioned some statistics. You said 189 people that are in the industry have been killed in the last 6 years.
Correct.
Right? Were most of them at open houses, or were they because there was a Pop-Tart? Because for me, an open house, I'm much more concerned about the homeowner and the homeowner's safety.
Right.
I wouldn't typically worry so much about the realtor, because as somebody's walking in the house, somebody else could be walking in too unexpectedly.
Right.
So I'm thinking that it's probably more of that Pop-Tart agent, but I don't know. Maybe you can shed some light on that.
Quite possibly. Robbery is the motive. Violent crime against real estate agents, robbery is overwhelmingly the motive. And it's often unpredictable and unprovoked. In addition to that, we started off with talking about Monday. The vast majority of violent crime against real estate agents take place Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon. I don't know if that's open house time or not. To me, that's showing time. We should all be at happy hour on Thursday and Friday afternoon. We should not be out showing homes. It's much safer that way. But statistically, 70% of our victims are female, 30% are male. It's not a gender issue. It's an industry issue. It's viewed as a soft target that gives ample opportunity. What we need to do is limit the opportunity to become a victim.
Wow, that's really, really great information. Tom, how do we reach you if our listeners want to get in touch with you?
You can find us online at newyorksfinestspeakers.com, www.nyfinestspeakers.com, or I'm at 646-269-8861. We're New York's Finest Speakers. We're a law enforcement public speakers bureau. We speak at schools on internet safety and drug awareness, and for real estate organizations on realtor safety.
That's fantastic. And you've spoken at many realtor organizations.
Yes, we have. It's been very well received, and it's evolved over time how we do it. We get feedback from the realtors themselves.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you both
Scott,
for having me.
how do we reach you?
I'm easy. My cell phone's 914-879-8411, or you can check out www.exitrealtygroup.com and find me. I'm an associate broker at Exit Realty Group.
And you have some news about your
Oh, yeah, some news. We are having a grand opening. I'll show it on the Periscope audience on 5 to 8 on Thursday the 24th at 75 North Central Avenue, Elmsford. Come and come thirsty, come hungry, and be ready to dance.
And who's going to be there?
That night, you will be there, I
I will
guess,
be
right?
there.
Right.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, you'll be there. I hope so. We dance and shoes. We'll have some fun. It's a celebration of the big day.
Awesome, awesome. And I just want to thank everyone for listening to us every Monday. We are here at 6 p.m. It is a live show. We do welcome your calls. Next week we have Paul Oster coming in, and he'll be speaking about identity theft. So please tune in, WFASAM.com. I'm Victoria Rivadeneira. I can be reached at VictoriaRiva.com. Thank you again.
Still on? You
Nope.
still on?
On there.
We got 5 people left in there. and
Still
we have
on. Wow, that was great.
38 people in this room. So your Meerkat people are still here.
Great. Thanks, folks.
I don't
You
know,
learned
maybe
something.
Any
touched
final
on
questions
the
from
fact
our
that
No.
meerkat
they
friends?
probably
No,
have, right?
Tom, you did a better job than I've ever heard you do. I love the
Oh, yeah? All right,
intimate
good.
discourse like that.
All right,
Great
perfect.
information.
We'll have to have you come back.
All
because
right.
That was really good.
Look, let's be real. You gotta
In
shop.
an hour?
You got to get people's attention.
You gotta shop to people. You gotta, it's. I mean, let's compare sellers to flying. What do you call it? People flying. Passengers.
Right.
Do you think people want to walk through the shoes and the thing? Do you think they want to do that? Of course
Absolutely
not.
not.
But that's the world.
Right.
So if the sellers are the bosses of the deal, like the JetBlue is the boss of the
It's
deal.
long gone.
Long gone. But I mean, JetBlue says how it's going to work, or LaGuardia says how it's going to work. Period.
Right.
Here's how you're going to park.
Right.
Here's how you're going to walk in. So
Right.
the sellers say, here's how it's going to work.
Looking for
You got a
one
pen?
other addendum.
You got a pen?
Nobody
Nobody's getting paid. They don't get paid
Right.
without a HUD. They
Right.
don't get paid without a lead paint.
Right.
So if you say, now, the dumb stuff.